So good afternoon, March the 10th, 2014. This is CISG114, Section 1, Web Technology and 9. Today is day number 8 in week number 5. Let's get started. I know you may have a question to ask me, so today I'm going to answer many of your questions and see if you have any special needs I can help facilitate a little bit. And I have to say that a big thank you to many of you who have been working very hard throughout the weekend, sometime late in the, well, not late in the night, early in the morning, between 3 and 4, and I see a lot of pop-up discussions and a lot of the submissions. Oh, I say, wow, I have a very industrial class, they're working very hard. And say, and I'm telling you that I have to treat you a big deal after today, because you have to submit something, or on Thursday, okay? So, many of you are aware of what you need to do in the first learning contract, but some of you still have questions. It's fine, because this is a very first learning contract. I do not see it a perfect solution if I receive all of the work. Instead, I'm looking forward to listening to all of you, your questions, what I can do for you. And some students will say, very last, could we submit our work a few days later? Or I'm just all my ear. But normally, I would tell them, oh, it's not a big problem, but you also need to pay attention to the second learning contract, which is supposed to start today. And 3 weeks from today, we have another set of artifacts to submit, okay? So this is what we call constantly practice. That's made perfect. Now, for those of you who have questions to ask me, I will give you time to ask me, but let me finish with this introduction first, okay? This is week number 5 in the semester, okay? If you look at week number 5, from the very beginning, you know that we have concluded the first 4 weeks of your studies, and I'm working on a questionnaire for your first learning contract, okay? Which is based on inquiry-based learning. When we come to week number 5, you can see that we are getting into a new theme. This is called self-regulated learning, SRL. Well, self-regulated learning is actually built on top of inquiry-based learning by including in your person the ability or the consciousness to manage time, okay? And manage stress and manage collaborations with your learning partner. And the most important thing to kick off your learning in SRL is learn to set goals and learn to know your constraints, because you do not have all the resources to do all you want in any learning project. So in the first learning contract, we emphasize on your ability and consciousness to ask appropriate questions through the OIA process. Now in the second learning contract, in self-regulated learning, we still require you to continue to practice your OIA learning process. But on top of these, we would like to make sure you know what exactly are you doing this for, your learning goals, and then how much resources do you have to get something done. One example of your resource is your time. We do not have all the time we want, and the collaborations from your learning partner, which is the manpower. Now, I doubt how many of you today, when you have finished submitting all of your learning contract number 1 artifacts, will go back to look at how much time have you actually spent doing each item. That's the reasons I'm designing the first questionnaire for learning contract number 1. Actually, you have a questionnaire for the subsequent learning contract to help you to reflect on how you make the best use use of your personal resources. Okay, so wait for this. You're going to be given this questionnaire by tomorrow, and you are invited to complete the questionnaire by the end of this Saturday. Okay, this will definitely help you to put things into perspective. Now, the theme studied from this week, number 5, number 6, and number 7, is self-regulated learning. And for this week, you see we have 2 topics. The first topic, number 1, is you need to learn something about blogs, wikis, and photo sharing. Now, that means the 3 topics. There are 3 specific questions. And for topic number 2, you need to learn something about RSS, podcasting, and social bookmarking. Another 3 topics. In other words, if you go to reading for week number 5, you should see 6 questions for you to explore in your journal in this week. Wow, 6! In the first learning contract, the first word is 2, the second word is 2, the third word is 3, the fourth word is 2. Now in this word it's 6. So you need to put attention. Remember, starting from the second learning contract, you're responsible for doing the journal, but you may not need to do all the questions in each week's journal. For example, here you have 6 topics, right? That means, according to our rules in learning contract number 1, this week you need to do 6 sets of OIA, right? Based on learning contract number 1's rule. But no, since the number of topics here are more than as usual, so we allow each pair, now remember, each pair to share the workload of writing the weekly journal. Okay, to share the workload of writing the weekly journal. That means what? Look at these. We have 6 questions this week, if you look at the reading list. Okay? Now that in your pair, you have at least 2 persons, right? Some of the pairs very good. You have 3 persons. That means what? 6 divided by 2 means 3. If you have 2 persons in your pair, each one of you could balance the workload for that week's journaling by sharing the topic. Normally, the best way is even number of topics. So if you have 6 topics in this week, between the 2 of you in your pair, 3 for each one. Okay? That means when you submit your journal, you submit the 3 topics that has been assigned to you between the 2 of you in your pair. Okay? Now if you have 3 persons in your pair, so much better. 6 divided by 3 equal to 2. So each persons in those pair with 3 persons, you just have 2 topics to do for this weekly journal. Okay? Now this is not allowed in the first learning contract, right? In the first learning contract, you as the only person must be responsible for completing the journal, no matter how many questions there. You must complete all the questions, right? So in the second learning contract, do you have 4 persons in your pair? No, only 3. Oh, that's good. So who is supposed to go to some other pair? Oh, okay, it's all right, you can stay, all right? All right, so you know that. Do you know the rules now? So when you write the journals in the period of learning contract number 2, the 2 of you need to talk about which topic to write for each one. Now in some pair, you might come up with a situation that one student is do 1 topic, the other do 5. If it's up to your negotiation, it's fine with me. Okay? But you need to learn the topics at least. Okay? Have I given you a clear picture on writing journal? Because journal is the basis of the learning practice. If you do not write a journal, it's very hard for you to go to the next step, which is forum discussion. So you must have at least 1 topic ready. okay, for each week. All right? So this is something you need to know. So what are we going to do? If you look at the videos for this week, all right, let's get started with some videos this week. So the first video is very interesting. It's about 1 minute 56 seconds. Okay? It's talking about what kind of learner are you? Okay? What kind of learner are you? So ask these questions before you get started. What kind of learner are you? I'm a hard-working learner. I'm a lazy learner. I'm a responsible learner. I'm an easygoing learner, or whatever it is. So these help pay attention when we talk about learner, the type of learner here. It's just 1 minute and 56 seconds.
So, Mr. Nichols, what kind of learner are you?
That's a good question, Mr. Hawes. I like to learn from pictures and I like talking to people.
Do you like thinking about new ideas, or do you prefer to play safe?
I like new ideas. I think the truth is that I get bored quite quickly if things stay the same. Having said that, I also like some stability. For example, I am taught in the same school for 20 years.
That's a long time. Are you good at working in teams?
I think it depends on what the team is trying to achieve, how they're going about it, and whether or not I can work effectively with the people in the team. I like working on my own, and I'm a bit of a control freak.
Do you like working with new technologies?
Yes, very much. I like the way computers and the internet allow me to be creative and then share the things I've made with lots of people across the world. I really enjoy getting messages from people who have seen one of my photographs or visited one of the websites I've made.
Thank you for answering these questions, Mr. Nichols. How did you make this animation?
I used a website called extranormal.com. It's great fun. You choose your characters, background music, type in the text of the conversation, then click the magic cam button. This produces an animation with different camera angles and gives you a code to upload your film to a website or blog. It only took about 20 minutes to make.
Great. Top tip. I wonder if any of the students at Telesmap will have a go at making one of their own.
I hope so.
Okay, so what kind of learner are you? Have you picked up the distinctions in conversation? Now ask yourself these questions. When you believe you have learned something, how do you feel? What does it mean by learning something from your experience? When you believe you learned something, what is it like? How do you feel based on your past experience? How many of you here who know how to ride a bicycle? Can you raise your hand if you know how to ride a bicycle? Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No one in this table knows how to ride a bicycle. Okay. How does it feel when you first became able to control the bicycle so that you will not fall? Okay? What's the trick? What's the trick of riding a bicycle without the fear of falling right or left or hitting someone? What's the trick? Do you remember the trick? When you are able to control the bicycle, ride faster. Okay. And what do you do to ride faster? to be brave to write. My son was very brave to write, but he broke his leg and got a big hole in his trousers. And then he said, yeah, I don't want to try. No, I said, you have to keep trying. So he is very brave. Do you know how to ride a bicycle? Not anymore, but you know how to ride a bicycle, right?
Well, I did.
Yeah, you did. So,
It's pretty much the same idea.
yeah, very brave, like his answer.
Focus on the front side.
Okay, focus on fun, on the
That's
side.
awesome.
Okay, now this is it's a very interesting statement here that focus in front, not on the side. What does it mean by focus in front? Now, can you ride a bicycle? Now, you know how to ride a bicycle, right? Now, what if I give you a Google Glass, in the Google Glass you cannot actually see? That means I bright your eyes. Now, you ride a bicycle. Do you have the guts to ride it? You cannot see it, okay? But you know how to ride a bicycle, right? Now, you cannot focus in front because you cannot see. What do you feel? Okay? If you are the kind of person who believes you can learn something by seeing first, it's one characteristic of a learner. But people will say, well, it's okay, you cannot see, can you hear? Can you ride a bicycle by hearing? Can you hear there's someone in front of you? Don't! Ah, you're hitting me! Okay. So I turn, right? So how many turns can you do in order not to hit someone? If you believe you can learn something by hearing something better, it's another kind of learner you are. Okay? But bicycling is something more than seeing and hearing. You still have to do what? Steering, right? You have your bicycle steer. You have to steer it, and you also have to brake. A brake over there. So what does it mean? It's the kind of learning which requires your experiential records on it. That means what? You experience it. I cannot tell you how it feels when you do not want to fall. Your hand must hold on to the steering wheel or the steering part of the bicycle and getting ready to brake the bicycle with the handbrake, okay? So if you're that kind of person who need to touch something in order to get hold of it, it's another kind of learner. So now, let's try to see. The computer is designed for you to handle it with a screen, okay? But guess what? Many people in the world cannot see through the eyes, but still they can use the computer. How can they use it? You cannot see in the eyes, but they still can use the computer. How can they use it? Voice control, yeah. But how do you control your voice without seeing? Now, just give you a very simple test. You know you're pressing on the keyboard, right? How do you know you press it successfully? Because you can see on the screen, right? Whatever letter you type in. But all the time, when we were studying in the United States, the professor gave us an experiment. I have a good working computer, but I would like to hide the screen from you. Now type a letter for me using the keyboard, but you cannot see it through the page. I will show you at the end. Do you understand what it means? Now, it's something like I have a piece of paper brought you here. You know you're typing on Microsoft Word. Continue typing. What you type, continue until you finish. Let me know, and I'm going to show you the result. How do you feel? You need feedback. We need visual feedback to ensure that we are doing something right. At any point, if we can see our visual feedback, we will normally stop for a while. So what kind of learner are you? Are you a hearing person, seeing person, or touching persons? Can we divide it in this way? Or we have a little bit of seeing, a little bit of touching, a little bit of hearing, and normally put them together as a person to learn something. We use all three of them. But as a student, what have you been doing the past 12 years in the secondary school? Normally, you come to class by hearing and watching. You watch the teacher write something on the board, you listen and you copy notes. And then this is the process of learning. Okay? And then what does it mean by touching it? So it's by hands-on experience. For example, when you study physics, the professor or teacher will give you an experience of the force when they teach you something about the force. Okay? They might give you this chair, so you put very easily. The reason is they have wheels, right? And then I give you another table like this. You see that? Well, this chair is much easier. You see that when you pull it, what happens? You still can pull it because it's light, okay? But what happened? The difference between this and that is what? The force, the friction between this one and that. Which one is bigger? The friction, the resisting force. Because of what? There's no wheels. The wheels facilitate movement, right? So if you want to know the differences, you have to touch it. Okay, so when we talk about self-regulated learning in this week and the following 2 weeks, it's we want you to be aware of something, of you as a learning person. What makes you feel easier to study something, to get something in touch with your learning process? For example, in a minute, I will invite you to tell me, what do you think is most difficult for you to get the first learning contract completed? Okay, what is the most difficult things? Maybe you can tell me something, but from a teacher's point of view, I need to find out from what you have been going through. So, this is a very interesting process. Okay, what type of learner are you? Okay, so let's try to see if I can give you a little bit more. Let's say, let's look at this video.
Jerome Bruner is an influential psychologist and a founding father of constructivist learning theories. He earned his PhD from Harvard University in 1947 and later became a professor there. During this time, he also worked for the United States Army as a social psychologist, where he observed public opinion on war and social attitudes. In 1963, he received a Distinguished Scientific Award from the American Psychological Association, and later in 1965 served as their president. Throughout the years, Jerome Bruner has written 44 books. One of his earlier books, called Toward a Theory of Instruction, in his book, Jerome Bruner said, "We teach a subject not to produce living librarians on that subject, but rather to get a student to think for himself, to consider matters, to take part in the process of knowledge getting. Knowing is a process, not a product." The Culture of Education was a landmark text that had direct influence on U.S. policy during the 1990s and is still relevant today. Bruner's philosophy on spiral learning curriculum suggests that learners return to basic ideas on a frequent basis as new subjects and concepts are gradually increased with difficulty over time. The big idea behind Jerome Bruner is that students need to understand the meaning and to learn, as opposed to simply memorizing. His theory on spiral learning revolves around understanding human cognition in a step-by-step learning process, which is then relied on by interaction and experience to form intuition and knowledge. Basically, what one learns is through repeated experience. Discovery learning is important to this theory because it allows students to build on their current knowledge. There are 3 stages of representation in Bruner's theory: enactive, iconic, and symbolic. Classroom management, viewed from the perspective of discovery learning or constructivist theories, states that it's an active process so that learners build upon knowledge that they already have. It may appear a little chaotic at first. However, students are inquiring and discovering and are active in their learning. As Brewer once stated, understanding is like discovering. The instructional approach to this theory is to have teachers encourage their students and learners and to aid and allow them discovery of their main objectives. Communication between teacher and student is a key concept. Additional instructional approaches for the teacher are to help the learner to focus on the goals and tasks at hand, showing relevancy. Additionally, emphasize learning motivated by interest. Students are more apt to learn meaning when they are interested in the subject. Brenner's spiral learning theory can be applied to many different curriculums. Students build and construct new knowledge and control their own process of learning, while teachers give input and structure to the appropriate learning environments of the learner. Since Brenner's theory is based off of continuous knowledge being built up over time, the instructional problem that is not addressed is what happens when learning takes place over a short period of time.
Okay, you have heard some comments on learning and also some ideas behind deciding opportunities for learning. Now, let me return to the questions Kenneth asked at the very beginning when he mentioned he has difficulty getting the first learning contract done. So let's get engaged in each table to see if we could discover some possible answers for Kenneth. First of all, recall in your table what you need to do from the beginning of the semester to the end of last week, what you have been doing each week. The ideal picture, right? So not necessarily the actual process. Ideally, you are invited to get prepared before you come to class, okay? And in each week, we have a theme or we have topics list. So before you come to class, we have suggestions of before class activity. Normally, these are things you do not need to finish so as to get ready for submitting anything. These are ideas. This will help you to get yourself set for the class, okay? Hoping that you will be aware of the extent of work which you have to go through in order to get the most out of class. And one example of this is understand how many topics are there in this week's reading list. Okay? If I can offer you week number 1, 2 topics because there are 2 questions. Week number 2, 2 topics because there are 2 questions. Week number 3, 3 topics because there are 3 questions. Week number 4, 2 topics because there are 2 questions. So altogether, there are 9 topics in the 4 weeks. 9, because there are 9 questions there. Okay, out of 9 topics, when you have to submit something for learning contract number 1, you need to select 1 WITS journal out of the 4 possible WITS journal you have done. Okay, even though you have not done all the 4 WITS, as long as you can manage to get 1 WITS journal done, you're set. So the minimum number of topics you need to manage out of the 4 WITS journal is 2, because you have 3 WITS which have 2 topics, 2 questions, and 1 WIT you have 3 topics, 3 questions. And normally, as student, I would choose the path of least resistance. So I would never choose 3 questions with, I would choose 2 questions with, okay? Normally this is my approach, all right? So then I have to ask a question. What is the purpose of doing a journal and in what way I should be doing it? Is there any requirements? Do you remember? OIA. So why do we need to go through the OIA process in order to do a journal? Why? The teacher said so. Or there is the reasons behind it. What's the reasons behind it? Can you suggest some reasons behind doing something in OIA format? Just the teacher said it's a requirement. Or anything you can think of?
Search information and keep our own opinion and make it like.
Yes, sure. So it's a suggested method to invite us to discover more by searching information and also add into it our opinions, okay? And this is a process we call IBL, inquiry-based learning. Now, there are many forms of inquiry-based learning, but according to your teacher, who's talking to you now, OIA is one form, which is acceptable in the sense it's divided things into different stages. The first stage is called observation. What is it like when you do observation of your selected topic? Observations. Observations. You pick something directly from what you're dealing with. You copy some important chunks of information with the citations, right? So that means you just go to the market. Observation tells you, pick red carrots, red tomato, green vegetables, or beans which is yellow. So you know that you need to pick up something like this. And then the question makes sense. Why do I need red carrots instead of green carrots? Why do I need tomato, which is red? And why do I need beans, which is yellow instead of red? What are these things for? That is interpretations. And then you answer questions of this, and then based on reading of the material, from the guiding question, you produce some sentence, complete sentence. The proper name of the complete sentence is called propositions normally, when we do a study. Proposition means I assume these is necessary because of the following reasons. Normally, we propose something like this, okay? And the propositions will help us to answer part of our inquiry. And when we have several such propositions, we move to the stage of application, which could be characterized by the key term reflecting, okay? We reflect on the following facts. When people are hungry, they will not go to toilet. You see something like this, okay? When people are hungry, they're going to eat. Because we don't eat in the toilet. So when people are hungry, they are not going to toilet. These are cause and effect, how to validate the propositions. And reflecting on facts of this help us to conceptualize a story to tell. And the most interesting thing of all is because you start out by selecting a question of your interest. So at the very end, when you have gone through the observation, digging in, interpretation, questioning, and propositions, suggesting. So at the very end, when you try to conclude on your lessons learned by adding into your reflections, you have gone through a process of what they talk about knowledge. Constructions is a process more than a product, which is your final conclusions. Because you can always go back to look out for something that happened to be missing. And when you go back to do it several times, we say you are inquiring about the topic by putting into your intellectual efforts into making things sensible for you. In the past, in the secondary school, normally we don't do that. the teacher believes it's very important for you to memorize the basic facts, principles. So normally in the past you are taught to reproduce information given you by the teacher, such as in a history class, such as in a language class, or in English class. So a lot of things to memorize and to regurgitate. This is the process of reproducing as one way of learning. But in college, we don't do that. In the college, we want to transform you into a thinking person, a person who has ability to think independently through a process of inquiry. So in the first learning contract, you're given a lot of freedom to choose from 9 possible topics throughout a period of 4 weeks. 1. And do a good job in that topic for OIA, and take that topic and share that with your learning partner to see how your learning partner can feel about your work in understanding the topic. And at the end of that, you try to write a report based on your gathering of knowledge there, and put it in a nice and neat format. And at the very end, abstract from the report, abstract from the discussion detail, abstract from your original journals, OIA, and write a soft versions of your understanding of this topic, which is called your blog. So a blog is a condensed versions of your final product. A report is your final product. Discussion detail is the intermediate product. And the journal is the beginning collections of facts about the topic. So normally, I would say versions 1.0 is my journal. After receiving feedback from my partner, I changed my journal. I call it versions 1.1. I do not simply delete my original one. I keep that, but I change it to versions 1.1. And then I use version 1.1 as the basis to write my report. That is the report versions 2 or 2.0. And at the very end, I use the version 2.0 report and version 1.1 of my journal together with some of the details in my discussion forum. I produce my blog, which is version 3.0. So you have to keep track of this development of your ability to handle one topic. Now, if you have not done something on your own like this, and you can simply just produce an artifact or submission of your assignment, that submission itself does not make a lot of sense, because you're just dealing with the submissions instead of using your time efficiently to go through this process of learning. Okay? So it's very important that you look back on what you do in your learning contract number 1. Personally, I can look over your learning journal and see how many weeks of journal have you actually done. And normally, very seldom, I would find students who did all the 4 weeks of journal. Mostly 3, normally 2, and about 30% 1 weeks. This is typical, and you can tell what you're doing, okay? But it's okay because we're different, because this course is designed on your work in writing when you submit something. But it's also designed based on your ability to express something in the class. So you can see that in each class, I will have some students who are willing to share, and you can also accumulate your score, okay, beside the artifacts submitted. And these are also very important. Okay, so let me just stop here for this important review for that. But allow me to say, let's see if we have someone who would like to share today by going to this. So if you look at these, Val, are you willing to share today? Thank you. And then Wendy, are you willing to share today? Wendy, are you here? Are you willing to share today? Or next class, right? You see, I got something here. This is last week's. Last week's, right? Okay.
Oh, we already shared.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay because I need to look back on this particular table. Let's say, Kathy, are you willing to share today? Okay. Okay, so this is day 6, already done, alright? So I think I need to give a time to Lovey. And Ken, okay? So, are you ready? You need to use the computer. This one, right? The other one, okay? So this one. Okay. So let me give you the mic. Alright, we're glad to have a sharing time today by Kenneth, Nafi.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you.
Nafi, my partner Kenny. We're gonna share a little bit about ethics. Kenny's gonna start and I'm gonna finish up. So I'm gonna give them.
Thank you.
Afternoon, classmates. Shall we start by watching a video first?
Thank you.
Edward Snowden dropped out of high school, tried Army Reserve training, but quit after 4 months, and then became a security guard. Now Snowden has become known worldwide as the man responsible for exposing vast surveillance programs by the NSA, one of the most secret government agencies in the United States. Edward Snowden, who outed himself as the source of leaks about massive government surveillance programs, is out of a job. The consulting company Booz Allen Hamilton, which does billions of dollars of business with the National Security Agency and other corners of the federal government, said that it had fired Snowden for violations of the firm's code of ethics and firm policy.
Contracting firm Booz Allen Hamilton Holding Corporation said it has fired Edward Snowden, who admitted to releasing information on the U.S. government's broad monitoring of Americans' phone and internet data for violating the firm's ethics and policies.
Okay. I believe that some might find the conversation might be too fast in this region, but I think the point is clear enough. Everybody knows this Snowden guy, right?
Right.
I'm trying to say here, the individuals are not the not only us individuals have the problem of the ethical problems. Even the whole government, like the United States, they might have something to do with against the ethical problem. So I would like to say is, what is our moral principles? This is the very, we would say, the ruler inside our heart to tell what is right or what is wrong to do. Obviously, all the United States have chosen not to follow what they think is correct. What is the purpose of doing that? We also come up to the problem of governing human. Because that we all inside this world we are living, we have to choose what to do and what not to do. If they have done something is against the ethical standard, they must have their own reasons. Of course, we can recall the beginning of the century, they faced some kind of terror attacks, and somehow they have to give up of ethical freedoms to us, and they have to gather the information of the security purpose. It's not the time to decide whether they are right or wrong. Because also there's something like the ethical standards. Ethical standards is just now I talked about the ruler inside each human heart, but could they be all in the same length? Of course they're not. For example, I'll say a very easy example. In India, they kill cows, they consider this as a crime. So is it the same in Asia or in Europe or other places? Of course not. In some Middle East countries, ladies are forced to wear a black robe and they are not allowed to show their faces or their feet or even their hand to the other people. Is it the same in Asia? Of course not. So we have to think about what is the common ethical standard and what is the basic thing we have to be sure. And sometimes even the government also has to kill some of the ethical freedom, I would say, in order to accomplish their other purposes. For as I think it's about security.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take over now. Kenny spoke about the observations. He mentioned moral values, ethical standards, and as you can see by the definition, information ethics has been defined as a branch of ethics that focuses on the relationship between the creation, organization, dissemination, and use of information, and other ethical standards and moral codes governing human conduct in society. Well, this sounds a bit complicated, but what they simply mean is that we all live according to rules. As a student, you have rules like plagiarism. You know that it's wrong to do it. Business people, corporate companies, they also have their own ethics. Different countries have different ethics, like you said. Well, with the application ethics, like I said, as a student, we also have our ethics. Ethics, they provide a critical framework for considering like moral issues. When we have ethics, we have a code, so we live by this code. So it provides a critical framework. It's also a moral agency. Example, whether to consider using artificial agents. Like when you buy food, some food, is it okay to put additives or not? I mean, some additives that may cause cancer or something. So is it moral? Like that's what I mean with this point, moral agency. Another similar example is has to do with the environmental issues. Is it ethical for some people to give out other people's information or to destroy the environment? Like at the moment, the world is facing global warming, but who's to blame? Also, we have problems arising from the life cycle of during the creation, collection, recording, distribution, processing of information. Well, this happens, let me say, mainly on the web. When you sign up for things, people may misuse your information. We came up with one question, so I request anybody, if you think you can answer the question. It's a simple question, actually. We just want to ask who's to blame for giving up personal information to phishing service online. What this word means is that when you're on the internet, you want to watch something, but then something will come up asking you about your name, your email. So some people don't know whether these are phishing emails, but we want to know now from you guys whether who's to blame. What do you guys think? If you can translate in Chinese. Yes.
I'll be saying Chinese. I think all of us can understand. 即係上網嗰陣時，有時會見到啲釣魚嗰啲 survey 嗰啲問卷調查，例如咧你去 download 啲嘢嗰陣時候，佢會有個 apps 出嚟，即係話俾你 green card 啊，請你寫低你嘅名咁乜嘢，咁我哋就可以幫你申請啦。或者你係啱你係第1000個中獎者，請你寫低你嘅聯絡號碼，我哋會通知你中獎支柱類嗰啲。咁如果你真係填咗嘅話咧 ，who's to blame 咧？係你個科定係人哋個科咧？你嘅錯，你哋覺得係對方個科，唔係我哋填嗰個人個科，係咪？有冇人想講表達？Anyone would like to share?
It's a very interesting question indeed, and I'm correct in raising these questions. Have you ever wanted to go to a concert with golf sing? And all of a sudden when you come to a website and say, if you fill up this survey, you got a free ticket to watch a concert. Or even in Macau, you've got a free ticket to dancing water. Will you want to fill up this form? You see what dancing water, right? 水舞间. Are you willing to do that? Have you ever tried that before? Yes.
Well, we know that it's really,
Yes.
it really will happen. We'll feel it. I will fill the form.
Okay. If
Yes,
it really.
and I also
Yes.
win a ticket from the concert.
Okay.
So sometimes if I'm sure that this is legal and this is useful, I will do it.
Yes. But in the sense that what they are talking
No,
about.
but in the sense of who has the blame for giving personal information? I think both.
Both.
Because I give it, I have the blame.
Okay.
And of course, if something about if they use our information in some illegal way,
Yeah.
but if we give them our information, we both have the responsibility.
Okay. That is your perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, very good translation.
Anyone who want to say something? Or nothing? Let's.
According to me and Kenny, we also gave almost a similar answer. So both the user, it's your fault for giving out information to. I mean, some website they look genuine, but they are not. But it's also the fault of the people who do these bad things. So, yeah. So she's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the end of our sharing. Any questions?
Any questions from the floor? It's okay. We thank you very much, Lovey and Kenny. Thank you very much for leading a very interesting discussion. Now, when I look at the clock today, now it's 3:25. So maybe I will open the floor now and invite you to ask questions for learning contract number 1 if you have any. And if you have any particular requests, feel free to say that it's open, including your request for delay or something like that. Give a reason and send in a request again. How many of you have submitted your work or have not submitted your work individually? Half of you, right? Not all of us, yes. You still have officially, you still have until 11:55 tonight. But do you want to have, 1 or 2 more days? Do you want to have 1 or 2 more days? Today is Monday. What if I move the deadline to 11:55 Wednesday? Is it okay? Okay? All right. Now let's do it. I'm going to change the deadline in a minute. Okay? So you can submit up to 11:55 Wednesday. Actually, this is a very good method on your own because you need to learn how to manage time. Because if you start doing this week's journal after Wednesday, you actually lost 3 days of this week to do the journal. And you see the number of journal is 6, right? So you need to talk with your partner to see how many journals have you done, how many topics have you done by each one of you. So granted, okay, give you 2 more days time to do your work. So any other questions? Yes. Oh, good, very good. Now, the proposal is a very simple but direct thing because normally when you have exposed to 4 weeks of material and questions, okay, with altogether 9 questions, right? So if you like to explore doing one specific topic based on one of these 9 questions, okay, other than the one you have chosen, okay, what would that topic be? It could be in the form of the name of the topic, okay? You must name the topic under the context of this course, which is already very big. And then the name is just a name. Don't make it too long, the name, okay? It could be a couple words. It could be web technology in life, or it could be security online, okay? Anything like this. This is the name. This is one item. The second item is 3 specific questions. No, not why. 3 specific questions. Very simple question. It could be, why is this important? What do we need to know about this? Or where can we find more relevant information about this? Anything like this, any 3 questions, okay? But we want you to ask essential questions. That means questions that will make people think, okay? But don't make it too long, the question, because you need to slump out in the question, okay? So one name of the topic, 3 essential questions about the topic, yes. And then 3 to 5 references related to the topic, okay? 3 to 5 references related to the topic. The references should be given in APA format, okay? You can always find out how APA is done using an example. And finally, write a very simple paragraph containing not more than 200 words describing the significance of the topic from your perspective. And that is what we call a proposal. And each one of you need to do something like this individually. Okay?
Sorry.
Yeah.
So started about the 1.0 and 3.0, that means the progress of improving understanding.
That is really up to you.
That's the report.
No, that's your journal. It could also be your report. It's really up to you, because normally when we do a piece of writing, we start our writing with draft. And normally we call the draft 0.0. The first product from the draft we call it 1.0. And the second refined draft we call it 1.1, something like this. Just this means that you need to keep different versions of your work. If you keep different versions of your work, you can see your progress by comparing different versions after you finish a piece of work. And this is always a good practice for you to keep electronically. Right now, you do not need to waste a piece of paper. You just need to click and then open up a new one, or you continue producing the new versions just underneath the previous versions. Do you see the meaning of that? Keeping a good record of the learning, particularly those produced by yourself, it's very important for you to see your progress. And that's why I suggest each one of us should be able to keep different versions of the work. Don't just scratch out the old one, believing you've done a good one. If you have done that, you will not have a copy of the old one to compare with the new one. So you know where are you in terms of giving yourself self-evaluations later. Okay?
There are 6 stuff we have to do.
Six items of interest.
So, the progress of the topic about we improve our understanding. So,
Normally, we just concentrate on the journal, the report, and the blog. 3. Okay?
what about the minutes and
The minute is the discussions with your learning partner, just like in a face-to-face meeting. The 2 of you have negotiated with one another who's going to do what topic, given how much time, and when you're going to get it done before the deadline. These are to be kept in the meeting minutes, okay? Following the format given you in the meeting minutes examples. Yes, you click on the link and you can see the example. Now that's not here. You have to go back to the teacher's message. Yeah. Teacher's message. Okay, you go to see. This is reminded, this teacher's message. Okay. That's all the 6 items here. And then we have the 15 minutes here. And you click on this level, and you got 15 minutes inside. That's why it's very important. The journal, because these are the very important with topic related. Yes. call. It's very simple because you use the forum to do a person-to-person discussion. At the end of that, copy and paste the details in your forum discussion. Put it in the Microsoft document. That is the forum discussion. The report is different. The report is based on the journey, and the forum discussion detail. You need to organize a little bit and put it in this format. Because in the report, you need to follow the format. You need to include the following section. Put on the link details. Yeah, maybe. Last one, I just messed up. This is the last question. It was the that means the one so the report contains a topic one from the candidate, one from you. Okay, so in your OIA you should have two sentences, one sentence. Not the same, you must choose a given topic. It's okay. It takes time to get used to it the first time. Don't worry. I often give you the encouragement score, okay? And then you can answer the question. It's under the web technology. Oh, that is called a workshop because normally when we want it on the first journal, for example, if I finish writing my first journal tonight, I would say this is workshop 0.0 done on March. Okay. Now, tomorrow, when I'm trying to revise my journal, I will start with workshop today. So tomorrow I might have 0.1, which is not on March. That means no matter how I will be more about my journal, I will keep emotions until when I read the journal so I'm going to submit perhaps version 0.8. 8 times out of the first version. With that, the average notes for 8 different versions to see how it will change based on this stuff. Because nothing is perfect. You can do something which is good enough at one time. This is the process. So we say we have versions the same from law, the same from report. Depends on how much time we have. Normally, when we discuss with their partner in their work, the partner is from versions. They can make sure everything is done. Just like in a computer, when you update the previous version from 5, now this is Moodle. Maybe next is version 2.6. Okay? So let me answer the question over there first. Is there any question? Ready? 寫低咗。 而家邊個人做緊呢個 topic 有去寫低先。第二咧就係邊個人係決定幾時做好呢個 topic 嘅章目啊，幾時決定邊一個討論嗰個 discussion detail， 幾時就要做，或者幾時就做成個 topic 上面housekeeping 嘅資料。然之後咧就三個人咧點樣接拍嘅啦，因為佢哋講所以你哋所以你應該要記住係為咗要交到呢啲資料嚟交嘅，係因為呢啲人幫你哋係睇翻呢啲嘢，知道我哋係決定咗啲乜嘢，點樣做，幾時做晒，點樣用嚟做緊做。前面啲事每一個人要交一個 week，嗰個 week 如果有兩條問題，就算有兩 set。咁但係幾多 set 咧？都係靠出人基礎買嘅數據點樣寫啊？咁你同 set 到底嘅基本上呢個，譬如呢條而家想解答嘅一個問題係咁嘅啦，一條下邊咧就有一紮我哋解過啦。咁你哋 copy 咗一紮就 highlight 咗呢個，跟住喺嗰個下邊就印個好啊呢條。就好簡單就將個問題，但係一定要喺呢個加嗰個方面出嚟。呢個咧就唔使點寫嘅，因為我哋都有啲 forum 我哋已經有個譬如3月4日嘅 forum 月4嘅，咁你喺個 forum 上面你打咗你嘅 topic 上前面就係你個 topic 就同你咁然之後佢又打咗個 topic 可以寫到做完之後你就翻嚟總理 topic 又係 base on 之後唔需要再做任何嘅修飾嘅但係你個 topic 你交你個 topic 佢幫你，佢交佢個 topic 嘅你幫佢，就係將你兩個 topic 嘅成咗討論嗰個 OIA 就跟住個 discussion report 方面寫一次嘅 topic 嘅上嘅上架，知唔知個 discussion report 方面對翻上個星期個 teachers Very good. You're asking very good questions. Yes, yes. And then you post on the discussion forum your topic. Once you post on So let me take attendance first. Okay? At the end of that, we have to end today's class. So Kenny is here, Sarah, thank you. Kara, thank you. And then Joanna, thank you. Yosini, thank you. Luffy, yes. Sherry, thank you. Nicole, thank you. Nana, thank you. Vicky, thank you. And then Helen, thank you. Joanne, thank you. Winston, thank you. Greg is not here. Kathy, thank you. Ceci, thank you. Wendy, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I highly recommend you go home and take a look at this week's material. It's very interesting, particularly when you come to study some self-regulations, essentials, and the basic things are all okay? Okay, I'll see you on Thursday, and hopefully you have enough time to get the work done. If not, well, we're just trying very best. All the time I will let you have encouragement score based on your efforts. Yeah. Oh, it's Okay, thank you. See you. Thank you. So that's it for today's CISG 114 Section 1 Web Technology and Life on date number 8 of March the 10th, 2014. Okay?